Zoom. Once we start the interpretation, you will see an icon on the bottom of your Zoom screen, the globe icon. You can select your channel, your language channel from that icon. And the choices today are English as well as Chinese or Cantonese and Spanish. And I'd like to hand it over to our Spanish interpreter to share the instructions.
Muy buenas tardes. Esta reunión será interpretada simultáneamente al español. Si está conectado o conectada a una computadora, diríjase a la barra de tareas en la parte de abajo de su pantalla y haga clic en el icono del mundito y seleccione Español o Spanish. Si está conectado o conectada por un teléfono inteligente, diríjase a los 3 puntitos, haga clic en Interpretación y clic otra vez en Español. En breve se activará la función de interpretación. Gracias.
Gracias, thank you. And let's hear from our Cantonese interpreter. Can one of the Cantonese interpreters please share instructions in Cantonese? Or it may be, Madam Clerk, that the interpretation channels are set up. Is that right?
To the chair, we haven't started them just yet.
Okay.
Hey, everybody, welcome.
Can we please have one of the Cantonese interpreters share instructions?
Well, that's embarrassing. Whew.
Okay, Madam Clerk, are you able to help us troubleshoot here? I'm not sure what's happening. Okay, I believe we can hear you now. Okay, Madam Clerk, is it possible to remove the interpreter from the and put them in the main room?
You should make him a panelist. But hey, what do I know, right? Thank you all for joining me.
Thanks everyone for your patience.
Okay, now you hear me, right? Okay, 唔好意思，正話係一啲係技術嘅問題。咁咧就係今日嘅會議咧係特別嘅會議啦，係Oakland市議會同埋呢個係重建局嘅後新嘅一個係呢個係特別嘅會議，咁1點半咧就會有一個係正式嘅會議嘅。咁咧就係一陣間咧係會提供呢個英語嘅會議之外，係提供呢個廣東話同埋呢個西班牙文嘅係語言翻譯啦。大家如果係用緊呢個電腦嘅話咧，喺熒幕嘅底部咧係 Zoom 嘅呢個選項單裏邊咧係會揾到一個地球圖標，咁咧就點擊個地球圖標咧，咁咧就會係可以選擇呢個語言翻譯，會係請你揀呢個係Chinese 係就係可以聽到我同同事嘅呢個係即時傳譯嘅。咁如果你係用呢個係平板電腦或者手機嘅話咧，可能你見到嘅係3個逗點寫住 more 更多咁嘅意思嘅啫，亦都係同樣請你點擊佢咧，亦都可以選擇呢個語言翻譯。咁好感謝大家 ，thank you。
Thank you, Dotse. Okay, we can go ahead and start the interpretation.
Somebody need to put me back on the language channel. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks everyone for your patience. We'll just start the interpretation. Shortly, you will see the globe marked interpretation on your Zoom screen. Please go ahead and select your primary language. Okay, we are ready to begin.
Good.
So again, good afternoon. Welcome to the special meeting of the Oakland City Council. We do have a lot of business to cover today. Before we get started, I do hope everyone is staying healthy and well and safe. Again, we do have a full agenda, and we are going to try to be as concise as possible, taking the time to cover the items on our agenda. I will ask my colleagues on the council as well as the staff to abide by the time limits that you see the clerk put onto the screen, and I will call time when that is up. Now, first I want to go over our order of agenda to make sure everyone is clear on the business we are handling today. To start our meeting, we will begin with our ceremonial presentations. We have 3 presentations today. The first is 2.7, honoring Shanae Franklin Minor. The second is item 2.8, honoring Jennifer Logue. We thank both of them as longtime staff at the City of Oakland. And then third, item 2.17, which is our celebration of the anniversary of Title IX. From there, we'll take modifications to the agenda, and I will go over a few modifications when we get to that item. And then we will hear public comment. Public comment will be on items just on this special meeting agenda. When we call that item, you'll have up to 2 minutes to speak. And from there, we will go to our consent calendar, our public hearings, closed session report, our non-consent calendar, and we do have a number of ballot measures on our agenda. I also want to make it very clear that we do have a regular council meeting at 1:30. At about that time, we will recess the special meeting at 1:30 to conduct our regular meeting. And when we move over to that regular meeting, please reserve your comments for that agenda for that meeting when it begins. There are a number of items on that agenda, including a couple of the ballot measures people may be here to speak to today, including Just Cause and the Emerald New Deal. So please hold your comments on the regular meeting agenda until we get to that item. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and have the clerk call in item 2.7.
So this is Oakland style,
Item
folks. Just sending a message
2.7.
that the A's matter is not important, even though it's the one everyone's here
Adopt
for.
the resolution honoring Shanae Franklin Minor
Not the
for her
first time.
outstanding service to the City of Oakland as manager of the city's rent adjustment program.
Thank you. And I would like to invite City Attorney Barbara Parker to introduce this presentation.
Thank you, Madam President. My video won't start, so I'll work with that a little bit. But I was going to defer to the city administrator first. I'm happy to go first, if that is his pleasure, since she served in his administration.
I'm happy to start.
Okay, and then if it's okay, then I'll follow up, Madam President.
All right, thank you, Madam City Attorney, President Bass, members of the council. Very pleased to be able to honor Miss Franklin Minor for her service to the city, which has been tremendous and in a realm that is very complex. She assumed the leadership of the rent adjustment program about 3.5 years ago. And it's a program that is complex in policy, in operations, and in communication. And I think one thing that I've seen over my career is that many government managers or managers, period, are good in one of those realms. They're strong operationally, are strong with policy, are strong in terms of communication and engagement. And I think a unique, very less common to see folks who are skilled in two of those areas, let alone in all three. And I think Ms. Franklin Miner demonstrated exceptional skill in all three of those areas, managing a program that is something that's extremely meaningful and important to a lot of people in Oakland, something that I know has been a strong focus of the mayor and city council, and has done it exceptionally in terms of just improving the day-to-day operations of the rent adjustment program, of making sure that the program was understandable to and accessible to the people who needed it, like tenants and landlords both, that folks had access to the information that they needed. And finally, that the council could consider in a very thoughtful way policy changes to improve, to adjust, to change the program in ways to make it more effective in achieving its policy goals. And I think she did an outstanding job in leading her team with the support of her management, including Director Latoyer, and shepherding this program into a much better place than it was when she took the reins back in the fall of 2018. So I just wanted to extend my thanks on behalf of the administration for her tremendous work over these last 3+ years in the leadership role with the rent program, and really just wish her the best in whatever she has next. I've seen what she was able to accomplish here. I have no doubt that she will be making similar contributions wherever she goes next, and hopefully it won't be far. So thank you, Madam City Attorney, for bringing this forward.
Thank you. Let's hear next from City Attorney Barbara Parker, as well as Laura Lane.
Thank you, Madam President. I have known Shanae Franklin Miner for many, many years. I don't even know how to count them. And I've always known that she is an exceptional human being, attorney, leader. However, in taking the mantle for the Rent Adjustment Board, she has yet again demonstrated her extraordinary leadership and insight. On behalf of the City Attorney's Office and the City of Oakland, I want to recognize and thank you, Shanae, for your vision, the miraculous and lightning speed with which you transformed the rent program from a passive enforcement program to an active enforcement model of rent regulation, including community engagement, education, dispute resolution, and mediation services, and developing a rent registration and eviction tracking program. I wish you well in your next chapter, and I know you will continue to excel and share your gifts. And at this moment, I'd like to have Laura Lane, who works closely with Shanae over these years and is intimately aware of her gifts and her contributions.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. This is Laura Lane, Supervising Deputy City Attorney. And yes, I've had the pleasure and absolute honor of working with Shanae for the last 3.5 years. And I've seen firsthand how she has absolutely transformed the program from a passive enforcement program to an active enforcement model. When she came to the city, there was a substantial backlog of petitions with petitions. Appeals were taking nearly a year to be processed.
Hey, Michael.
She reduced that time to just 30 days.
Hi, Benny.
Dramatically expanded
Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Efforts of the rent program, and increased public
this meeting's
access
gonna
to the
be- is
program
weird.
from just 12
Folks, this is,
hours a
the
week
legendary
to
Michael
31
Daughter.
hours a week, increasing
let me
the
see if I
number of
can,
counseling sessions from 262 a
one
month
moment,
to more than 420 a month. She's published wonderful materials for the public.
I just reduce that for a second, then we'll go back to it. Michael is my longtime friend and man of great history who participated in the play, and I would think is also watching in horror, as I am, as the Pac-12 disintegrates. What do you think about that, Michael?
Well, I'm not interrupting the council meeting, am I?
She's an Oakland native. I don't know if
Am I interrupting
Turn
the
your
council?
volume up. I think for some reason you're a little low there.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me now?
She has won the
Can you hear me now?
landlord advocates
Hold on a
and
second.
tenant advocates. I can think of another person who we could say that about.
Let me see something here.
Reached
I can hear you.
of
Testing 1, 2, 3.
an issue which is very, very contentious in the city, and there's a lot of.
1, 2, 3.
And
Testing 1, 2, 3.
I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't want to interrupt the.
I can hear you, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear
I
you.
got a background now. There's an echo.
I don't want to interrupt.
I can hear you, Mike.
There's an echo.
I got a background now. Echo.
Echo.
I'm trying to get rid of all this background noise. Might be. Not sure what that is. Let me turn this off here. Trying to get this. Okay, let me try that. Let's see here.
Those who brought this forward, I would like to, if acceptable by the co-authors, add my name in sponsorship of this resolution acknowledging the tremendous contributions that Ms. Franklin Miner has made to our city.
All right, Michael, try that again.
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Let's see here.
Can you hear me?
Hold on a second.
It says everyone can see and hear you.
We got you on there.
Yeah.
And Michael, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You
Yep.
can hear me. Okay, I can't hear you for some reason.
Huh, let me try.
Uh,
Can you hear me now?
I turned down the volume.
Can you hear me now?
StreamYard.
Testing 1, 2,
And
3.
let me try. Let me take the automatic out. Let me do this.
Just across the spectrum
Okay, that's
of
that.
this dialogue
should
and
be able to
engagement.
hear
And I
you.
know that that's
Testing
sort of
1, 2, 3.
by
Testing.
example,
Yeah,
setting
I
a
can hear you
tone for
now.
what
Yeah.
Yeah, but
government
it's loud in my ears
should
because
be
I
and
can
how
hear the other people.
as
Oh, that's the, you know what that is? Hold on a
I
second.
would say an institution that's responsible
The council
for
meeting.
right
It's the
ballots and
council
bridging those
meeting. Yeah, I'm
gaps
trying to
between
figure out how to.
all
Well,
of us
hey,
so that we collectively move
Zenny,
forward.
I'm going to call you
Um,
on a regular phone
not
line. I'm going to call you right
add
back.
much more, but just
Oh,
grateful
okay. All
as a fellow sort of native Oaklander, product of the town. Just grateful for her coming back to the city, giving some time, and I am hoping that we will continue to partner in a way that uplifts what we are trying to do, build, and create right here in Oakland. So thanks and congratulations.
Michael.
Hey,
Thank
Zenny.
you. Next
Hey,
is
how you
Councilmember
doing?
Caldwell.
Yeah, I'm trying to turn them down.
So Zenny,
Yes.
turn off the other thing because I can't hear.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam
Yeah, that's what I'm
President.
trying to do.
I just want to join in the accolades for
That's
Shanae.
exactly what I'm trying to do.
It was a thrill to have her come to the city and really kind of
turn off the
put things together. And
How's that now? Michael hung up. Let me try him back. Michael hung up. Let me try him back. Let's see here. Everybody can hear me, I think so.
Hello, you're on the dot. Please leave a detailed message and I will return your call as soon as I can. Thanks a lot and have a great day.
Well, Michael, trying you back. Okay, so Michael hung up. Let me go back to the broadcast here and see what.
Trying you back.
Okay. So I'm going to turn. Go back to the broadcast here. All right, so I'll turn the council up when he comes back in.
That everyone is saying all of these wonderful things about Shanae, but I have a critique, which is
Okay. While they're talking about that, I'll address your questions here.
But I have a critique, which is
And yeah, thanks, Barry. I can hear Michael too. I don't think Michael got that. I could hear him, but Barry Lee is saying, let's see here. The council had better realize that the A's will not wait until next year for a binding agreement. By next year, the A's will be moving on to Las Vegas, and the council, at that point, will say goodbye. Yeah, that's absolutely right. Well, Dave Cavell told me specifically that if the vote goes away where it approves the public ballot, they're basically going to get out here. I'm going to find that clip and play it as this is going. But that's here on Zenny62 on YouTube. And then we have people like Michael Cobruno who aren't helping the issue. Michael is a longtime friend and friend of the mayor's and a political consultant who's playing politics. And he's basically saying, oh, there's no public money involved. And look, there is public money involved, folks. It's just not from the city of Oakland directly. It's through tax increment financing managed by a special organization called a Public Financing Authority, and in such a way legislatively that the city will not backstop or protect the bonds, okay? And so that's the whole point. And so let me see if I can get Michael. Let's see here. That's the whole point. So let me see if I can get Michael. So I'm ready to say, come back. Come back. Anyway, that's the point of anyway, that's the problem here, is that the city doesn't recognize what Dave, the fact that we've taken too long on this. And it's not a matter of not really wanting a public vote so much as the time that has already been wasted on this entire project. And I'm not saying the project is a waste of time. I'm saying the time that I'm talking about the time that has been wasted on the project. There's a big difference, okay? And so let me go back to, I'm going to get Dave's interview here and then post that. And I have to get...
Your recording has reached the maximum length. To replay your message, press 1. To delete and re-record your message, press 3. For delivery options,
I get
press
it.
4.
I get it. I had Michael on. I was trying to call him. All right. Anyway, so many communications devices at once. So let me get him specifically. Put that away there. And I've got, this going. All right. So let me now go back to where we were with respect to Howard Terminal and Mr. Cobble. Yeah, here we go. This was 3 days ago. He was kind enough to join me. We were talking about BCDC approval. Let's see if I can get the transcript here. Show transcript. And then scroll up there. And so let me go back and play the interview with Dave Cobble. And you skip the ads here. It's all right, right here. So what I'm going to do here, folks, is play the, thanks, Barry Lee. I'm going to share that screen. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to go over, folks. I'm going to stop that screen. And then I'm going to share the Dave Cobble interview right here so you can get a taste of what he was saying. This is the interview that I had with Dave. And we'll call this one up right here. Like so, and we'll play it. Let's see here. That's that. Let me go back here. And oh boy, I found sound. There we go.
We found this on the web.
On this project, and hopefully for their leadership and unwavering support.
So for all of the talk about this
for
not
these past few
being
years,
about
I want to lift up
A's
Laura
and
Lane
being about the
Wakanda Simmons for their partnership, their thought partnership. Truly, this has been an amazing team effort, and their knowledge and their support has really been invaluable on this journey. And then finally, I'd be truly remiss to not uplift the community partners who really have inspired me, because being born and raised here and
this is weird. Somehow the what Zoom is doing is Zoom is cutting off my ability to play the cobble. And so basically, that's weird. So let me see if I can push that out here. And then,
We are that team, we are so lucky that they are in our community, that they care, that they show up to meetings of community stakeholders. And I just thank all of them for their knowledge, their support, and their partnership. And just finally, I certainly will continue the work. And I just really appreciate this opportunity, and I thank my family.
And that's a necessary process, and
just
one
putting up with it
they
and
in fact
bouncing
need
ideas off
the way we go. We don't really know the
bounce
answer.
ideas off of them.
I
Thank
gotta
you
ask
so
you,
much,
first
all
of
of
all, you
you,
said
and I look
sites.
forward to working
That means
together
you're going to have
in the future.
rollout designs for more than one.
Absolutely.
Originally, you
Thank you
expected
so
to have
much,
those
Sinead.
designs
We do
rolled out
hope
by
that we
now,
will continue
right?
to
What's
be
the
able to
delay
work
with
with
respect
you
to
in
Las
different
Vegas?
capacities.
Well, we have a couple final sites
And next,
that
we will
we're
move
doing
on to
design work.
item
We're
2.8.
negotiating with the landowners and with some of the key partners in that location, with an eye to make a final decision on a site and then announce it. With really all the bells and whistles
Congratulating
and
Jennifer Rose on
understanding what
appointment
we're
as city
proposing
attorney
to
for
the
the city of
community.
Mountain View.
We don't want to get out
And
ahead of it and not have that
gratitude
lined
for
up.
Jennifer's
And so we think it's taking a little longer than we would originally have intended. But
in
it's
the
important to
litigation
get it right,
division
to
and
be
as the
thoughtful,
supervising
deliberate,
attorney
to build
for the general
momentum
government and finance
and
unit,
support.
the
And I think
advisory
that's the best
division.
I
way to
would
go.
shut down Zoom, but I don't want to lose my
Which side
place
are
in
we
the
talking about?
council
Can you
line.
say
That's what
now?
I'm trying to avoid.
Thank
You know, we don't,
and I'd like to
because it's
invite
real
up
estate
our
negotiations,
city
we
attorney,
don't
Edward
specify
Parker,
specifically
for
what
the
site. We can say that the final sites
Thank
are in
you, Madam
corridor,
President
very
and
close
members of
to
the council.
the strip
It
itself.
is my
Some with
distinct
just incredible
pleasure on
views.
behalf of the
You're
city
working on
attorney's office,
joint
the city
ventures and things of
council,
that nature.
and
So
the city administration.
it's a very
to congratulate
exciting opportunity
Jennifer
and one that I
on
think
your
can
appointment
be
as
very
city
accretive not
attorney
only
for
to
the
the
city
A's
of
but
Mountain
to
View,
Las Vegas
effective
and of course
February
Vegas.
8th,
Dome
2022.
Stadium or
And to thank you
We're looking at
for
retractable
your
receipt.
stellar service
Ah,
to the city attorney's office and to the
quite
people of
Yeah,
Oakland.
and some of the design
more
work that I'm
than
talking
12
about is
years.
around like how that is.
It went by
performed.
very
Yeah, that's a
fast.
very important
Jennifer
consideration,
has
because we need
dedicated
to take
all
climate
except
in-
1 year
as a
of
major
a more than
factor. Like,
20
we need a
year
climate
legal
controlled
career
environment,
in public
but also
service.
in
Before
the
she joined
winter,
the city
in
attorney's
our off
office,
season,
she was
having
the
this
senior
as
staff
a
attorney for the
stadium with
United
an
States
open,
Court of Appeals for
you
the
know,
Ninth Circuit, which people
you know,
may not know.
configuration,
She did
I
that
think could
for
really help
5
for other
and a
events,
half
concerts.
years,
There's really no open
researching
air
and analyzing the
locations in
wide
state.
array of
Now,
substantive
I'm going to ask you
issues,
about public
including criminal,
contributions, if you
environmental,
will, or subsidy with
immigration,
respect to Las
civil
Vegas.
rights,
We
and
know about
constitutional
Oakland
law,
more than
and also
anybody,
drafting
but
opinions for the court.
Las
She
Vegas,
joined our
Nevada
office
has something
the
called the
first
Tourism
tour of
Development
duty in
District, which has been on the books since
2006
2005,
as a
and
deputy
has the
city
ability
attorney
to
in the
use tax
litigation division
increment
as
financing, but
a litigation
employing
attorney.
sales tax revenue.
She
Is
served
that
as
what
lead
you're
counsel
looking
during
at
her
for
first stint
the ballpark
in more
in
than
Las Vegas?
60 cases
We're
involving a
kind of
wide
at the early
range of
stages on like
complex
how the
issues
public-private
spanning all
partnership
areas of
in
municipal
Southern
law
Nevada. We have a
handling
variety
all
of different
aspects of the caseload,
ways that could be done.
including
That is one.
investigations,
the tourism
evaluation
improvement
of the
district.
case,
I talked to the
drafting
governor about that
pleadings,
numerous times.
taking
also the
depositions,
Clark County
propounding,
commissioners.
discovering,
So that is a possibility. It's one.
engaging
We're working
in
with Goldman Sachs,
dispute
who's our financial
resolution,
advisor on that,
motions,
and other
and
options.
court
And so,
opinions,
right now we're trying to get the
trial,
site and
and
the feasibility like
bring
totally,
my voice.
dot the i's.
Jennifer
cross the
quickly
t's.
established
That would be the
herself
next
as an
step
exceptional
in
litigator
working through those different
by
options.
successfully
What makes the
defending
most
2
sense
City of
for the
Oakland
public
employees
policymakers
in a
in Nevada.
major
Since you
federal
have
civil
that in
rights
Las Vegas,
jury
seems to have
trial
Golden
within the
lined up.
first
Are
6 months
Golden
of
also
her
helping you in the
employment.
Oakland context?
And that she
Yes, they are.
continued to successfully defend
Sure.
the
So,
city, its agencies,
In the Oakland context, with
and
respect to
officers
Goldman
and
Sachs,
employees over the next
is
4 years
the
in state
not
and
yet
federal
announced
courts and courts
tax
of
increment
appeal. In
revenue
2010,
calculation kind
Jennifer
of holding
left
things
us
up
to
with
join
respect to what
private
Goldman can
practice
estimate.
in a firm where she continued
And
to
I asked
work
that because
Well,
as a
I
public
don't think
sector
that's the
attorney.
biggest.
And then,
stumbling
lucky
block
for
in Oakland.
us,
The biggest stumbling
in
block is just
2012,
scheduling the
Jennifer
vote.
returned
You know,
to
I
the
think
city attorney's
you need an
office
actual
as a
vote
senior
schedule because it's
law
enforcing
and motion
motions.
attorney,
It
handling a
gives people
wide
deadlines.
variety
It
of
forces the
complex
lawyers to do
motions,
the work.
petitions,
All the
writs,
staff
and
on my
appeals.
side and on the city
And then in
side. We have an
2019,
army
I
of people
promoted
working on it.
Jennifer
We'll
to
do a Zoom
supervising
call or
attorney
video or whatever they
of the
call it.
general
over there.
government
And,
and finance unit in our advisory division.
And so everyone
Where
needs
she
the
has
direction and
served as
deadlines.
the
And so
counsel
that's
to
why I'm
the Basic
advocating
Fire
so hard to
Retirement
get a
Board,
date
led a
and
team
one
of 4
before the
deputy city
election. I don't want
attorneys
this vote to
and
be taking place
advised
lame dunk session.
24
I think that's
city
a recipe for
committees,
disaster.
boards,
I've
and
explained
commissions
that to
and
many
multiple
people.
city departments.
Because then it would be easy to say, well, let's just kick this off until the next
extensive knowledge
city
of
council.
law.
I
and
think that's
a
before
very
the election.
wide array of
There's clearly a
areas
path to do
I
that.
won't enumerate.
We've done all the work with
But
the
she
general
brings
plan
all of
amendments and
this
all the things
to
about the
bear.
agreement. It's really just coming to
When she
agreement, especially on the
develops her
offsite
cases,
infrastructure.
when
The
she
city
does her
has said that
research
they would
and
take
analysis,
responsibility for that in
and
their
when
term
she
sheet.
does her legal
They have
writing.
not demonstrated to us, Goldman Sachs,
And
our
as she
financial
provides
advisor,
an
our
excellent
lawyers,
advice
that they have a plan to do that. And that is probably the biggest outstanding issue.
So I also want to.
That gets to my question. I had the mayor on yesterday
She
for
ably and
an
deftly
interview
provided
that
advice and
I'm working on
counsel
the
to
sound
city
for a glitch, but that's another story. You know, but she said enough to be
and the city council
understandable with it.
regarding
And what she
the very
said,
complex
first of all, she
issues
gave me
related
comfort
to the
that
development
that
and the
aspect was
adoption
further
of
along,
the city's
even though it's not to
triennial
where
budgets
I
for
would
fiscal
want, and
years
I've been screaming about for a long
2019
time, and you as
2021
well,
and
to
21
be.
through 2023.
But with respect to enhanced infrastructure
And I do
financing
want to
district
mention two
legislation,
cases where she was a key
there
person
is the
and a
provision,
key leader,
and I
which you may not be
yeah,
aware
said
of.
this to the mayor
members of
yesterday,
council, one of
for
which is the
projects
Jobs
of
and Housing
community-wide
Coalition
significance,
case.
including
Against the
offsite,
city
which are
of
offsite by their
Oakland
nature,
challenging
right?
Measure AA.
That's the whole point.
She
Yes.
was the lead
Yeah,
attorney.
that's a great asset that we
in that
have with this
matter, and
legislation that
continued
I'm
to provide
encouraging the city to
critical
use for
advice
offsite.
once she became
Which-
an
Right,
advisory
which gets to the
supervisor.
reason why,
She
you
also
know,
was a key member
I'm not gonna have any
of
hair
city
anymore
attorney's legal
because
team, and
the legislation that I originally
2017
talked to you about
City of Oakland versus California Waste Solutions
is
lawsuit
not being
against
planned around.
CWS.
What is
Well, the mechanism, Ted, you're 100% right. The
And that
mechanisms
was
exist
resolved
where I think the city
very
can find a
successfully
solution on the offsite.
with
But
repayment.
for whatever reason, maybe it's a
property
lack of
owners
political
who were
will, we have not seen it. And we
Jennifer
are
possesses
advocating
that
very
rare
strongly that that needs to
combination
be
of
addressed
intellectual
because it's
prowess
probably the biggest outstanding
combined
issue.
with the
I
ability to
presented
inspire
a
confidence
plan
in her advice
to
and
the
to
city staff and the
firmly
mayor
provide
that
advice
will
that may
pay
not
for the
be
community benefits that
what the
passed the
client
city
wishes
council
to
last year.
hear.
You would think that
Jennifer
with
is a
that,
consummate
with these
team
other
player.
sources of revenue for
She
the
coordinates
offsite,
with
we can
all
get
of
to
the
a deal,
members of the
but
city attorney's
until they
office.
agree to it.
She has
we're not.
mentored and trained
And that's
new
what
attorneys.
bothers
And
me,
she has always
Dave,
been
is that
consistently
there is this
and very
hunt for infrastructure money at the federal
attentive and
government level.
sensitive to the stresses
when
of members of the
You
unit
and
that she
Nancy and a number of other people, and
given
Rob
the
was
high
our
stakes
attorney
work
general,
and the high power
put a lot of
clients that
effort
the
to
city
establish
attorney's
SB
office
293 Skinner.
advises and
We did.
represents.
And
Thank you,
your
Jennifer,
special
for
version,
sharing your
basically,
brilliance,
of
your
enhanced infrastructure
incisiveness,
financing district law
and your
legislation.
generosity of
And
spirit
yet,
and empathy.
what's happened is
serving the
that
city of
there's been so
Oakland.
much
We wish
lag
you
time. This is
success
getting
as
to
you
a
continue
question
your
between
illustrious
the
career.
establishment of that
I would now
law,
like to
that
give
version of
Brian Richardson an opportunity to make
enhanced
a
infrastructure
remarks.
financing district legislation. And now
Thank
that
you.
the public has gotten
Madam
wind of
City
it, but they don't
Attorney Ryan
understand it,
Richardson with the Oakland
and so
City
now the
Attorney's
politics
Office. And
have
I will
seemingly started to
keep it
eat
brief,
away at it,
in part because
and
Jennifer
caused this vote
knows,
that's going to come up on
what
Tuesday,
high
which
esteem
I'm not
I hold
for.
her in.
The mayor says it's going to
Just,
cost $1
as
million
I was thinking about
too. What are your
to say
thoughts about what the
Jennifer,
council is going to
it
deliberate on
occurs
7-5?
to
My
me that a lot of
contention
times
is they don't
attorneys,
understand enough
because our work cuts
even
across such
pitch
a
that.
wide range
Well,
of
I just
subject
think it's a
matters
delay
and
tactic.
professions and
It's
industries
as simple as that.
that, you know,
Like, there
we
doesn't
often
need to be any more
evolve,
advisory
we all evolve as we
There
go
needs to
along
be a
and we find
definitive binding
ourselves.
vote. We've been at this for 5 years.
We find our
It's very
passion and
simple. If they do that,
They just
I
said
think
it
it
strikes me
indicates that they're
most
not
about
serious
Jennifer
about
is
moving
that
forward with this plan. And that's
worked with
fine.
her for
That's
quite a
totally
long
their
time
call.
now, and
I think it would be
she
sad
was
because
promoted
we're very
into a
close.
leadership role
But
in the
at
office.
the end of the
She
day,
just
we always do
flourished.
this.
And it was clear that she had found her calling. It's clear that
So
she's
Dave
always
just said
known
it
public
right there,
service
folks. He calls
was
this
in her calling, but
a
I think
delay
it's
tactic,
clear
okay?
now that actually being in leadership
he says
and being
it's
a
a delay
thought
tactic.
partner
What's
with
going on?
the leaders
And
who are forging ahead
so
in
you just heard
providing
him
services
there
to the
say it's a
public
delay
is where
tactic.
she's
Let me go
meant
back to the council
to be.
because Zoom doesn't allow me
I
to
miss
stop
her,
that volume.
daily,
If I stop
weekly,
Zoom, I get
but
kicked
I'm
out of the private a meeting.
happy for her.
They
and
have
I
a
wish her
limit.
all the best.
So I don't want to do that because these agenda items
Thank you so,
do go quick, and we
Thank
may
you so
get to
much.
10 like that. Okay.
next is Administrator Riskin.
So
Thank you, Madam President. Let me just add briefly
go back
that
and
in my
add.
22 years working in local government in 3 different cities, I've worked with a lot of deputy city attorneys.
It would be
And
nice
I
if
can
Zoom would
say
get designed
unequivocally,
differently,
Jennifer has been among the finest
but it is
of
what it
those
is.
that I worked with. I know I can speak for the entire
So that's
administration in
The
saying that
council meeting.
she's incredibly responsive, thoughtful, hardworking.
But the bottom line
Often,
is that-
requests for advice was met with a extensive, thoughtful, often after hours response that was always helpful in guiding us towards a solution, not just telling us what we legally can and can't do, but really helping to resolve issues for the people that we all serve. So I just want to, when word came out that Jennifer was accepting this very well-deserved appointment as city attorney in another city, I know there was a collective feeling of great disappointment among the city staff, so many of whom she supported over her many years here, particularly in leading the general government unit. So I just want to thank her for her amazing service to this administration and the city, and wish her the very best as city attorney and whatever's beyond that. So thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you. And I will just share briefly that I've really enjoyed working with Jennifer. We worked for quite a long time on the progressive and equitable business license tax update, on budget items, and she was always knowledgeable, responsive, and incredibly professional. Jennifer, if you are here, please do raise your hand so we can be sure to unmute you, and I'll take just a few more comments. Councilmember Reed.
Thank you. I'm not sure if Jennifer is here yet or not, but I certainly wanted to chime in. This is a day of honoring just two phenomenal women and women of color who've led just amazing paths here with the city. And Jennifer is one that I've worked more closely with as the parliamentarian for a partnership that I was appointed to chair. And she was just incredible support. I listened to what City Attorney Parker shared about mentoring and training, and though I was not her staff, she certainly was that strength of support for me in my first chair role, giving me the guidance, the wise counsel, the support, the insight that I needed to lead out well with my colleagues and that of our Oakland school board trustees. It was mentioned about her legal expertise and just the brilliance of the work that she has led here. And I got to know her heart along with those areas of her skills that were highlighted. And the heart of Jennifer is equally amazing and beautiful and embracing. She has been, as we just shared, incredibly accessible at all hours of the day and night. I found Jennifer, you to just be an incredible woman of integrity, a woman who was trustworthy, a woman who was accessible, who was dependable, who was thorough in all of your response and guidance, who provided insight and information to the point of it being what was the fair and right and just thing to do for the people that we serve and the outcomes that we were driving for our city. And I just thank you for how you led and how you served our city and how you partnered with just a spirit of excellence. And I just appreciate the deep love and passionate commitment that you served our city with, and certainly that you partner with me in my office. I'm sure that Haley would wish that she could raise her hand for the many calls and the guidance that you were able to give us and the outcomes that we were able to lead with your support at our side. And so we thank you, and you know we absolutely miss you. And we wish you the best in Mountain View and beyond, as I'm sure that is just one more stepping stone in the incredible success that you will have to experience in your life and in living out your purpose-driven life. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Taylor?
Yes, to keep it brief, extremely grateful for the opportunity to work with you, Jennifer, and learn from you as you have helped to guide a number of pieces of legislation that I've brought forward, as well as overall sort of insight and perspective as we have sort of navigated our role as city government and institution, living into our values. I know particularly we rolled up sleeves in terms of really guiding the local business empowerment through contracting legislation that I authored and led. And so grateful for your work partnership there to ensure that our local businesses do get access to city contracting opportunities, and addressing the disparities that have been I will say, very clear and transparent that persist. Also, I know that the way that you have led as a leader within the city attorney's office, it has shown through with all those that work with you in partnership with you. As you know, we collectively have different roles to play in advancing the business of the city. So thank you for your commitment here. I know that Mountain View is lucky to have you, and just congratulations on all of your past and upcoming successes.
Thank you. And Jennifer may be listening. I don't see her in the queue, so we will continue and make sure that she has an opportunity to hear all of the accolades, see the resolution. And if she does come later, we will give her an opportunity to speak. Thank you all. Next, we'll go to item 2.17. And this will be our final ceremonial.
Item 217, adopt a resolution celebrating the 50th anniversary of Title IX of the Education Department, the Education Amendments of 1972, which seeks to guarantee equality in educational programs and activities regardless of sex, and celebrating the powerful impacts of the Title IX since its enactment in 1972, and encouraging additional work to further gender equality in educational programs and school-based athletics.
Thank you. And thank you, Councilmember Kalb, for bringing this forward. Please go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam President. It's with great pleasure that I bring this forward, that we bring this forward. I know this is co-sponsored by, I'm trying to remember who is co-sponsored by this. I'm sure all the entire council supports it. That's co-sponsored by Councilmember Kaplan and Councilmember Five, Mayor Schaaf.
And me.
And Council President Bass. I'm sorry, I forget which board we talked about. But I know this is something that all of us share. 50 years ago, Title IX was put forward by the United States Congress to strengthen the educational amendments to our federal law, and to make sure that there's to strive to make sure there is no discrimination among women and girls when it comes to any educational program, especially any educational program that gets even a little bit of federal funding. And that includes school-based, both high school and college-based, any school-based athletics, which is what has been the most upfront portion of Title IX, although not the only portion that's important. There have been a lot of successes because of Title IX, but there's still work to do. And today we have Dr. Dana Weintraub should be in the queue somewhere to speak. She's with the she's one of the directors and founders of the Bay Area Women's Sports Initiative, and has become one of our Bay Area experts on Title IX. And I believe, Madam Clerk, if you see her anywhere in the queue anywhere, Dr. Dana Weintraub. Dr. Weintraub, if you hear us, please do raise your hand. Madam Clerk, oh, I see, BAWSI Central. I think that's it. BAWSI Central, there we go.
Thank you. I don't know if I can turn my camera on, but it's—
That's okay, we hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Councilmember Dan Kalb, Councilmember Nikki Voss, Mayor Libby Schaaf, and the entire Oakland City Council for inviting me to speak on behalf of the Bay Area Women's Sports Initiative, BOSSY, to recognize, celebrate, and honor the 50th anniversary of Title IX. These 37 words open the door for gender equity in sports in schools and universities receiving federal funding. A native New Yorker, I ventured to California in 1998 for my pediatric training at UCSF Benioff Children's Hospital, Oakland. Although I do not currently reside in Oakland, my heart and soul remain with the Oakland community, and I am so honored to speak with you today. Bossy mobilizes the women's sports community to empower girls and children with disabilities through sport and physical activity. We envision generations of women leaders empowered by early access to sport. We know girls who play become women who lead. We know this in our hearts because of our own sports stories, but we also know this in our heads because leaders in our field, like the Women's Sports Foundation, founded by visionary Billie Jean King, have compiled the research that supports these stories. Girls who play sports are physically healthier and have better mental health, do better academically, and more likely to graduate high school and attend college, and are more successful in their future careers. We at Bossy are proud to share that we've just completed a long-term impact study of our Bossy Girls alumni, and our results parallel those of the Women's Sports Foundation. Simply put, sports is a transformational tool for health and wellness and leadership development. Yet too many girls remain on the sidelines, especially girls of color from under-resourced communities. The National Women's Law Center report on Title IX at 50 reports that in high school, girls in general have less opportunity to play sports than boys. And this disparity is much greater for low-income girls of color. Bossy recently commissioned an original youth-led study by local high school girls to assess barriers to girl sports participation. Their findings highlighted barriers similar to those found in national studies assessing the current state of Title IX sports equity. The youth researchers cite systemic, interpersonal, and physical barriers that include sexism, patriarchy, sizeism, affordability, transportation, limited choices, lack of information, emotional safety, confidence, and athletic ability. Girls absolutely do want to play, yet the system is not set up for their inclusion. Thank you again for inviting me here to speak, but more importantly, for your commitment to leveling the playing field here in Oakland. Bossy looks forward to supporting this work, sharing our learning from 16 years of girls' sport programming. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your work as well as for joining us. Next is Vice Mayor Kaplan.
Well, thank you so much. That was such a great presentation to hear. And thank you to my colleagues who are co-authors on this item. I'm very honored to join in bringing forward this item and to really express the importance of this equal access, both to educational programs generally and to school-based athletics. I had the experience of getting to play softball and rugby in school, and they absolutely helped me and helped others who participated gain wisdom in ways that went far beyond what took place on the playing field. And so in this particular moment, that gender equity and other fundamental principles of justice are under attack from the Supreme Court and others, I think it is even more important that we celebrate and uplift and strengthen this law and these protections and all of the impacts that it has. Thank you.
Thank you, and very happy to be part of this resolution as well. Okay, thank you everyone for those ceremonials. I want to briefly go through some modifications to the agenda and invite my colleagues to also share any modifications, and then we will go to public comment. So let me see. Just a few updates to share on the consent calendar. Item S2.32 is the 12th Street remainder parcel exclusive negotiating agreement with a Baldsey. That is on our agenda. I do plan to move to continue it, as was my request to the CED committee and as was discussed at the CED committee, continuing that item to July 19th. And then when we get to our non-consent calendar, I will be calling items 11 and 12 together. Those are the term limits and charter reform items. Item 15, the transit occupancy tax measure has been withdrawn by Vice Mayor Kaplan, as I understand it. And then item 16, the Go Bond policy, I will be hearing that before item 13, which is the housing and infrastructure bond item. If there's other modifications, please raise your hand. Vice Mayor Kaplan.
Oh, thank you. Just confirming the removal of item 15, the special transient occupancy tax. Thank you, Madam President.
Great, thank you. Okay, seeing no other hands in the queue, we are moving on to public comments. So members of the public, please raise your hand or press *9. You will have up to 2 minutes to speak, and we will keep the queue open for 15 minutes. It's now 2:57, so we'll keep the queue open for 15 minutes until this time. I do want to remind everyone that public comment is for items on this special meeting agenda. That agenda is posted at oakland.legistar.com. If you wish to speak on the public hearings on this agenda, please wait until the public hearing is called. If you wish to speak on the items on our regular meeting agenda, please wait until we recess and go to that regular meeting at 1:30. Madam Clerk, you may continue.
Thank you for that, President Boss. As stated by the chair, you will have 15 minutes to raise your hand, the queue closing at 1:12. At this time, there are several hands raised in the queue, so we'll start by reading those names. You'll have 2 minutes apiece, starting with James Mann. Following James Mann, I have Jonathan, Lori, Cheryl Walton, Gail Wallace, Steph S., Jen Trigg, Jennifer Arbuckle, Margie Lewis, Kathy Adams, Greg McConnell, Mark, Carolyn Burgess, and Mary Forte. We'll pause there. James, you have the floor. Thank you so much.
And thank you very much, Madam Clerk and members of the City Council. It's a pleasure for me to join in the accolades for Ms. Shanae Franklin Minor. I've had the pleasure of meeting Ms. Minor, working with her when she was a member of the Rent Board. Long before she left the city and came back as manager of the rent program. It's been a pleasure, and certainly we hate to see her go. With the assistance of the council, she was instrumental in turning what was a wrongly headed rent program to one that is really workable and is in the mainstream of other programs in the city. So it's been a pleasure working with her. I want to give my agreement and hope for the council's approval of items 10, Councilmember Gallo's Let the People Vote measure, item 12, Councilmember Calb's government reforms, item 13, Councilmember Bass's measure, and item 14, Councilmember Calb's public financing for the city and school board members. All of these are excellently framed measures. We need them, and I hope that the council will give its approval for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Jonathan Stein. You have the floor. Please unmute yourself and begin.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Jonathan Memphis Stein. I am an Oakland resident and the executive director of California Common Cause. We are a member of the Oakland Fair Elections Coalition, and I am speaking today in support of agenda item 14, the Oakland Fair Elections ballot measure. I want to thank council members Bass, Kalb, and Fife for sponsoring this measure, and thank the Oakland Public Ethics Commission for their support. Our broad and diverse coalition believes that Oaklanders deserve a fully representative, participatory, and accountable local democracy. For this to happen, political candidates need to focus on what our communities need, not what big money donors and special interests want. If passed, in addition to other democracy-strengthening provisions, the Oakland Fair Elections Act would enact an innovative Democracy Dollars program. The Democracy Dollars program would equip all eligible Oakland residents with 4 $25 Democracy Dollars vouchers to contribute to municipal campaigns. This will turn every household into a potential donor household, encouraging candidates to engage ordinary voters for their support, including low-income families and neighborhoods that might have been passed over in the past. Right now, unfortunately, Oakland campaigns are not funded by Oaklanders. Half the money raised by Oakland candidates comes from outside of Oakland. Over 80% of the money raised by Oakland candidates from Oakland residents comes from less than 1% of our city. Oakland Fair Elections will give all people a stronger voice in government and limit the influence of wealthy donors and powerful special interests. The costs associated with the Oakland Fair Elections Act are covered with less than 1/2% of the Oakland General Fund, a small price to pay for driving participation, transparency, and trust in our elections. Democracy dollars are used in Seattle, and they've been found to increase the number of small donors and the diversity of donors, and to increase voter participation among first-time and low-propensity voters. We ask for your support of the Oakland Fair Elections Act. Additionally, I'd like to join the council in congratulating and thanking former Public Ethics Commission Director Whitney Barazotto. Thank you so much for your time, and best wishes for the long day ahead.
Thank you for your comments. The next. Hello? You may begin. Hello? Lori, can you hear us? You have the floor.
Now I can. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry about that. Good afternoon. Thank you so much. I would just want to say that I do not support a public vote on the Howard Terminal project, and here's why. The average citizen does not research the way that they should or get a clear understanding on the project. The public relies on elected officials to do what is in the best interest of the community they are representing. I've attended meetings, including this one. I've also attended other meetings. I've read interviews. Therefore, I do support the Howard Terminal project. There's a lot of misinformation regarding this project. Some of the misinformation is that the City of Oakland is going to pay for the ballpark, which is not a fact. Fact, the project is being funded by the A's. Facts, as of today, Howard Terminal produces $70,000 in property taxes per year. Fact, once Howard Terminal is completed, it will produce $10 million per year to be invested back into Oakland. Money will be used for police services, fire services, health and senior services, schools, and other after-school programs, homelessness to name a few. Let's not forget about the taxes from the 400-room hotel and also the parking taxes, which will all be invested back into Oakland. Fact, these taxes do not exist now, and they won't exist unless this project is approved. Fact, Howard Terminal will provide the community access to the waterfront to be enjoyed all year round. Fact, there's affordable housing. Fact, Howard Terminal will produce 25,000 union jobs. Not to mention the jobs at the hotel, retail shops, restaurants, and at the ballpark. Fact, these agencies that have read all the reports support the Howard Terminal project. Fact, the Port of Oakland supports Howard Terminal. Fact, the Bay Area City Council supports Howard Terminal. Fact, the Green Bay Alliance supports Howard Terminal. Fact, the BCDC just removed port priority in a landslide 23-2. The Howard Terminal project has so many community benefits. I'm just a working mother and grandmother. I truly don't understand how anyone that wants the Oakland community to prosper can oppose the Howard Terminal project. This is a project more than building a ballpark. It's building the Oakland community. That's why this project is bigger than baseball. Thank you for.
Speaker in the queue is Gail Wallace. You are allowed to speak. Please speak.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Oakland regarding item 14 of today's agenda, the Oakland Fair Elections Act. Democracy works best when everyone participates and when we shore up our election rules and systems. The Fair Elections Act will strengthen our local democracy by increasing transparency and requiring the top 3 donors to political ads to be identified. It will also strengthen the Public Ethics Commission, require certain public officials to wait 2 years before becoming lobbyists locally, and lower individual contribution limits to reduce the influence of large campaign donors. Perhaps most excitingly, as you just heard from my fellow coalition member, Jonathan Stein, the Oakland Fair Elections Act offers a means to transform the current situation in which less than 1% of Oaklanders contribute to candidates' campaigns. He explained to you the $425 vouchers that all eligible Oakland residents would receive and be able to contribute to candidates of their choosing. That's game-changing. And that would allow all qualified residents to make local candidates viable, even if those candidates lack ties to larger donors. At the same time, this program would incentivize candidates to get out and speak to their future constituents and to hear from the entire community about what they need and how they want to prioritize those needs. Results in Seattle under a very similar program that has run for 3 election cycles preview what we can achieve in Oakland. The use of vouchers increased there each election cycle across all demographics, and there was an increase in voter participation in the elections themselves. Please, we urge you to support bringing this measure to the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And our next speaker in the queue is Cheryl Walton. You are allowed to unmute yourself and you may begin your 2 minutes. Cheryl Walton, please unmute yourself and you may begin.
Good morning, City Council. Cheryl Walton, District 7. I'm a public health professional and have worked on health equity issues for over 30 years, particularly in communities of color in Richmond, Berkeley, and Oakland, on illegal dumping, environmental health, access to nutritious foods, public safety, jobs, housing, and even work managing shelters and transitional housing for the unhoused. So I know poor conditions in public health here in Oakland. I'm asking that you vote yes on item 10 to place a public funding measure on the November ballot to give Oakland voters our right to vote on almost $1 billion of public funds raised for financing the infrastructure of the proposed AIDS project. We deserve the right to vote whether to use our federal, state, and local county, city public dollars for this project or not. It is not just your public dollars, but our public dollars. I think voters would appreciate it if you recognize this as a shared decision. I'm opposed to a project getting a loan of this size of our tax dollars for private development, especially with a question and hope of getting the estimated returns on our investment. I know what's proposed. And it's not about the building trades because most of them don't even live in Oakland. And they're just trying to push this forward without the vote of the people. This money should be used now to provide the needed resources for mental health, better air quality, road repairs, crime prevention, and even keeping our schools open. Just think of what condition Oakland would be in if mayor and city staff directed the hours they use for the AIDS project to address our many issues, or just prioritize one, homelessness. We could eliminate it with this money. How many of you will even be in office to make sure this proposed returns on the projected tax increments will go where it's said, that our port jobs and port itself will be protected? How many of us will even be alive over the next 45 years? Oakland voters have a right to vote. Vote yes on item 10. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Stephen S. Stephen S., you are unmuted.
Yes, I'm sorry. So, yeah, my feelings sort of echo. Are we able to hear me? Hold on.
Yes, you are unmuted. You may be.
So my feelings echo the previous speaker to a large degree. I've been an Oakland resident for over 35 years and have seen these sports teams come and go, mostly go, unfortunately, and feel that at this point, the spending of these kind of funds on a facility while this city is experiencing the significant problems that we are, not the least of which is homeless, but there are so many others. I mean, the condition of the streets. We had a process that was supposed to pave streets. If you live anywhere near Montclair, you've seen Thornhill not get paved in 2 years. You know, et cetera, it goes on and on. So whether it's homelessness, whether it's paving the streets, whether it's maintaining the parks. Joaquin Miller Park is a fire hazard. There should be a significant amount of funds put into Joaquin Miller Park to clear off the fire debris and make it much more usable for all the constituents of this city and the surrounding towns. So really, at the bottom line for me on this is that we should be able to vote for this stadium facility, et cetera, as versus having others vote for it. And really, that's the sum of my content. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and just noting that the closing of the queue will happen in 1 minute. So once the queue is closed, if your hand is raised, you will be allowed to speak. So again, the queue closes at 1:12. If you haven't done so already, please raise your hand if you would like to speak. Our next speaker is Jen Trigg. Please unmute yourself and you may begin your 2 minutes. Jen Trigg, you have the floor. You may unmute yourself and you can begin your 2 minutes. Jen Trigg may be having technical issues, so we will go to the next speaker in the queue. Jennifer Arbuckle, you've been allowed to unmute yourself, Jennifer, and you may begin your 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm a District 3 resident and a member of 3 different Howard Terminal CBA topic cohorts. I want you to think of jobs, union jobs saved and union jobs created, jobs for formerly homeless and formerly incarcerated. 134 labor unions support the Howard Terminal project. 134. That is the most in California history. I also want you to think about delay tactics and understand that delay tactics for Howard Terminal would hurt the African American Sports and Entertainment Group, AASEG's bid to develop on the Coliseum site. We want both projects to succeed, especially given how groundbreaking the AASEG plan is. Please give both projects a chance. If the East Oakland Stadium Alliance was really about East Oakland, they would want AASEG to succeed as well. And speaking of East Oakland in their name, I'm wondering where their efforts were when the Raiders and the Warriors left town and the 2,000 jobs they took with them. Which billionaire company corporation is linked to them from East Oakland? None of them. This is because it was formed and funded in 2019 by poor interests to oppose this project, including Blackstone, who is a private equity firm who has exploited tenants and fueled the global housing crisis. So I ask you to please vote no on agenda item number 10. This is bigger than baseball.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Margie Lewis. You have the floor.
Margie Lewis, District 6 voter. I am urging you to put a ballot measure to give Oakland voters the opportunity to weigh in on the use of public funds to support the Oakland A's privately owned real estate development at Howard Terminal on the November 22 ballot. The A's billionaire owner, John Fisher, is demanding the City of Oakland provide over $1 billion in public funds for infrastructure for his private luxury real estate development and ballpark. If approved, this project will drastically impact Oakland communities and draw resources from other city and regional priorities. With so many challenges facing Oakland in the world, including homelessness, racism, housing, school closings, etc., we should let Oaklanders vote on any deal committing spending critical public resources. More than $350 million of public funds would be used for off-site infrastructure costs. These are projects whose primary purposes are to support the A's project. The federal and state grants and other public funding sources are not but $4 and could be used to finally address all the other long neglected outstanding transportation and infrastructure projects in Oakland. The A's initially promised $450 million community benefits. They have since retracted and now want to rely on public money, totaling $411 million from multiple sources over a 66-year span. This means much of the community benefits will be substantially delayed. The city's contribution to the community fund is expected to be $400 million in public funds, while the A's will only contribute $11 million. This is in marked contrast to other major cities in California. In San Francisco, the Giants are constructing a mixed-use development next to their ballpark that includes 1,200 units with 40% affordable housing, all of which is the responsibility of the team, not the city. The A's point to the Giants ballpark as their model for a ballpark development, but for the affordable housing component they conveniently ignore. This is a money grab for the A's to get most of the but-for dollars. More than 11,000 Oakland residents have signed a petition in support of a ballot measure. Vote yes.
I do apologize, your 2 minutes are up. The next speaker is Kathy Adams. You may begin.
I am Kathy Adams, an independent contractor for the Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce with the title as President and CEO. The definition of the word opportunity, a set of circumstances that make it possible to do something. I am here to support item 8 on the agenda. I strongly support the recommendation of Mayor Mayberry of the Department of Workforce and Employment Standards. The opportunity was provided by Mayor Libby Schaaf in acknowledgement to Councilmember Lauren Taylor for creating an opportunity for us at the table when we were not even in the room to have a voice over 24 years ago under the former leadership. We started these meetings with the City of Oakland department heads starting January 2021 to present. This was a huge step in the right direction. And Councilmember Lauren Taylor was there from the start and helped to manifest this dialogue between the community and the city of Oakland. There is no one shoe that fits all. It's a good start. The conversation was allowed to happen. It's time for all of us to work together for the good of the order in the community. It may not be perfect, but it's more than what we have. We have the opportunity. I encourage we roll with the Department of Workforce Development and Employment Center. We are doing something. It's better than nothing. Thank you.
And thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Greg McConnell. Mr. McConnell, you are allowed to speak. You may begin when ready.
Good afternoon, Greg McConnell. I'm here in support of item 10, giving the voters a chance to have an advisory opinion on whether to spend public funds on the A's private project. You know, there's been so much mystery and so much kept in the dark about this activity that Councilmember Gallo had to bring to you a motion to create transparency in a special meeting. You voted unanimously to support that. And the purpose was to determine what were the benefits, what were the risks, and what were the details of the deal. We've seen a lot of stuff in the paper about the A's will come, the A's will go, the A's will stay, the A's will leave to Vegas. So much of this has been bully ball. It hasn't been a process where people could see what's on the table and make a decision about what's on the table. And that's why I think it's important for the voters to have a chance to give an advisory opinion. We did a poll. The poll said 76% of the voters wanted to be heard. We did petitions. We saw that 11,187 people signed those petitions saying they want to be heard. And what are the excuses? That it's going to usurp the council's authority? No, it's not. It's just going to give the voters a chance to give their opinion. That is too complex. How is it too complex when you ask the voters to decide billions of dollars? There's so many ballot measures on the table right now that are complex. They can handle this. I think that it's time to stop worrying about usurping the council's authority and all of these other issues and simply let the people have an opportunity to express their opinion on whether public funds should be spent on a private project.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Mark. Mark, you have been allowed to unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself and you may begin your 2 minutes. Mark, you have the floor. Zoom user by the name of Mark. All right, Mark may be having technical issues. We'll go to the next speaker in the queue, who is Carolyn Burgess. Carolyn, you have been allowed to unmute yourself and you may begin when ready. Carolyn
yes,
Burgess.
I am a District 1 voter and I've been in Oakland for over 38 years. I want you to vote yes on 10. You know, it seems ridiculous to me that so much money from the taxpayers would be used for a private development. You know, they're after a good view of San Francisco and they're going to make a bundle there. We deserve the right to vote on the tax dollars. Money should be used to improve Oakland. There are more homeless in Oakland than there are that go to the A's games. People that attend the A's games, you know, I think are losing sight of what this is really about. So it's safety, certainly. We have needs for better paving, better infrastructure, but our public funds should not be used for private benefit by a developer. We want to be heard. Let us vote. Vote yes on 10. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker in the queue is Mary Forte. Mary Forte, you have been allowed to unmute yourself. Please do so and you may begin your 2 minutes. Mary Forte, you have the floor.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you very much. My name's Mary Forte. I'm an East Oakland resident, born and raised in Oakland. I'm asking that the council vote yes on 10. With so many challenges facing Oakland, including homelessness, racism, housing, school closings, city vacancies of over 700, gentrification, displacement, trash, filthy streets, and potholes and repaving, Oaklanders should vote on how critical public resources are spent. We are Oakland. We are not San Francisco. We do not need to mimic nor copy San Francisco. The Port of Oakland and the growth of the port are critical to Oakland. The Oakland A's stadium should be built at the Coliseum. The infrastructure is already there. BART, Amtrak, the airport, safe walkways, parking lots, etc. Affordable housing, and what does affordable housing for who? Jobs for East Oakland residents and businesses are needed in East Oakland. City Council, please do the right thing and let Oakland citizens vote. We want a fair and equitable independent study of the full costs and benefits of this project so that our children and our grandchildren are not saddled with payments in the future as we are today with the Raiders because of City Council decisions. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker is Sharon Rose. Sharon, you have been allowed to speak. Please begin when ready.
Thank you. I urge you to vote yes on the proposed advocacy advisory ballot measure that will let the people of Oakland weigh in on the proposed stadium and condo development at Howard Terminal. Thank you, Councilmember Gallo, for this ballot initiative. It should be obvious to everyone, and particularly those of you who are running for higher office, that the people deserve the ability to vote on such an enormous project that would change the character not only of the waterfront and West Oakland, but of our entire city. And to the person who reeled off that long list of so-called facts, all I want to say is, what are you afraid of? Let the people have our say. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We'll give Mark another try. User by the name of Mark, you have the floor.
Hello, my name is Mark Muller. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You may begin.
Oh, great. I strongly encourage a no vote on the Howard Terminal advisory. Much of the information that has been put out by EOSA is blatantly false. Many of the petitions that have been signed, including false information. Howard Terminal is a golden opportunity for Oakland, and we cannot delay it anymore. I really hope that the City Council will show leadership and vision. This is a project that will bring jobs to Oakland. It will bring revenue. It is a revenue positive project that is going to bring considerable money to Oakland to address the problems that we have in the city, and it's going to help us address those issues with additional revenue. It's an environmentally conscious program. It's going to help with sea level rise. This is something that is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I hope our City Council does not delay anymore. We certainly don't want to see this project go away because the EOSA does not want to vote. They want to stop this project, and they're not acting in the best interest of Oakland. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mark. The next speaker in the queue is Sean Cochran. You have been allowed to unmute yourself. Please do so. You may begin your 2 minutes, Sean.
Good morning. I'm here today to ask all of you to vote no on the advisory vote, item 10. Until now, all of you have been doing a great job in moving this project forward. However, a couple of you may have been listening to the misinformation campaign put out there by the opposition that wants to kill jobs, not create jobs. The opposition that wants to stop housing, not build housing, and the opposition that wants to continue to pollute our air and waterfront instead of offering solutions about how to clean it up. You as city council members are the ones that have been voted into office to make these decisions. You've been doing a great job. Don't delay this anymore. Oaklanders deserve more jobs, more housing, and more access to a clean and beautiful waterfront. This is bigger than baseball. Please vote no, and thank you for your time.
Well, we thank you for your comments. The next speaker in the queue, Kitty Kelly Epstein. You have been allowed to unmute yourself. Please do so when you may begin.
Good morning. My name is Kitty Kelly Epstein. I'm a professor. I live in East Oakland. I've written 3 books about Oakland, so studying some of the issues that are involved in Measure 10. And I host a radio show on KPFA, also sometimes discussing this issue. I want to, based on that, which I think the entire city has the level of expertise that should allow us to vote. And I'd like to say a couple of things that I believe are elephants in the room that don't get brought up. And that is one of them, the fact that there is a lot of pressure in many cities from something called the Growth Coalition, which always asserts that any project should be built because it's going to benefit the city. In fact, many cities are having the displacement of their current population, especially the Black population, because these Growth Coalition projects don't work in the way that they are said to be working. The Growth Coalition consists of billionaire developers and a very small section of the labor movement, which benefits from getting jobs, but which does not generally employ Black workers. In the case of this particular project, we need our very progressive Oakland City Council, which I have been very proud to watch over the last few years, to take the action that's necessary and democratic and progressive to allow us to vote on this with our own good minds about whether or not we want our taxes spent in this way. I've been so proud of what I've seen go on, but I would not be proud to see the council refuse us the right to vote on this project, which has so many dimensions that people have already mentioned that are negative. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker in the queue is Mary Bergen. Mary, you've been allowed to unmute yourself. You may do so and begin 2 minutes. Mary Bergen.
Thank you. Council Mary Bergen speaking for the League of Women Voters. Councilmember Cal's charter reform measure, item 12, has as one of its provisions the requirement that proposed ballot measures have at least 2 hearings before the council approves them. A very good idea. Had this provision been in effect today, most of the measures you are considering in some haste would have had the necessary hearings, or they wouldn't be on the agenda. Regardless of action today, 2 hearings should be the policy and the practice of the council. Councilmember Cal's measure raises many important issues for the operation of the City of Oakland. We think that these issues are best addressed as part of a comprehensive proposal developed by a group of interested and involved organizations and individuals. We suggest that a task force or a blue ribbon committee be organized for this purpose. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker in the queue is Stephanie Walton. You have been allowed to speak. Please unmute yourself and you may begin your 2 minutes. Stephanie Walton.
Hi, thank you so much. Good afternoon, council members. Thanks for your time today. My name is Stephanie Dominguez Walton. I'm a 17-year Oakland District 1 resident speaking today on item 10. This proposal to put the Howard Terminal project to an initiative is a ploy. We know it's a ploy and a fabrication of public outrage by opponents to delay the project. Please don't honor this tactic. It also gives you the cover to avoid a vote that may be hard. However, you are elected to make hard decisions, and we believe in you. Our economy is at risk, and our civil liberties are in jeopardy. This is the time for elected officials to take a stand. I support the Howard Terminal project. If you oppose it, say so. Please have the courage of your convictions and let us know where you stand. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker in the queue is Susan Ransom. Susan, you have been allowed to unmute yourself. Please do so, and you may begin your 2 minutes.
Hi, Susan Ransom, born in Oakland, live in Oakland, work in Oakland. Please vote yes on item 10. I had a council member recently advise a group of voters, as has the mayor, that they don't feel like Oaklanders would be knowledgeable enough or know enough about the overall plan to make a decision on whether to use public funds for what was supposed to be a privately funded program. I spoke to a group of Oakland voters yesterday during a 4th of July celebration who found that insulting. The financial review will be done in September and assumably will be published. There's a lot of time between now and November for all Oaklanders to educate themselves on this important issue and see the results of the financial review. My question becomes, why would any council member not want this on the ballot? November will be a pivotal moment for Oakland with voting on a new mayor and new commissioners. With all these elections, it is important for those same voters to be able to vote on the ballot, whether yay or nay, on how tax dollars are spent, whether through grants or current money. This is not about rushing the project through for Mayor Schaaf. This is about careful consideration of what you will be left with once she is long gone. Those facts that were so eloquently listed in support of the A's were misinformed facts. Let's wait for the September financial review, and please let Oaklanders have their voice. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker in the queue is Bandu Griffin. You have been allowed to unmute yourself. Please do so, and you may begin your 2 minutes. Bandu Griffin, you're up next. Bandu Griffin, I see that you're unmuted. We just cannot hear you. Bandu, we'll give you a moment. You may have some technical issues or have connected to Bandu. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you have the floor. Bandu Griffin, you may begin.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, great. Good afternoon, council members. Bandu Griffin, and I am speaking on item number 8. We are asking the council to please pull this agenda item. This is a policy change that's going to have wide-ranging implications, and it does not line up with the changes that the contractors are working on the recommendations to make to the city. If we rush the changes today, we will make mistakes. The reason we're trying to change the policy now is because these items were rushed and put in. We want to get it right this time. We're not looking for a quick fix. We're looking for what will work for the contractors. The contractors were promised that they would have input into what was brought before the council. We were told it was going to come to council. No one told us when the deadline was. No one told us when we needed to have our recommendations in by. This word headquarters is pivotal to who does and who does not get certified. Removing this requirement, and then as we were told later on down the road, if companies are certified under this, they'll just not get recertified, is not the way the city should do its policy. There is no way to say, let's certify someone today, and then 2 years or 1 year down the road, we'll decertify them if we change how the policy is applied. That's not how it should go. The contractors have been working very diligently. What is going to happen is going to impact them. We want to know, what is the rush? What is the quick fix? Why are we trying to kick the can down the road and say, okay, later on, we allow you to bring your recommendations? It is like pulling teeth to get someone decertified. And so that's why we're asking you, before this.
I do apologize, your 2 minutes are up. we may go.
Excuse me, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Thank you. So it is now just a bit past 1:30. As I announced earlier, I do want to make sure that we very soon, not quite yet, but very soon, take a motion to recess this special meeting and start and conclude our regular meeting very soon. Before we do that, I want to just explain a little bit about how this is going to work. When we recess the meeting, I understand the clerk will take a picture, a screenshot of all of those people who have their hands up within the specified time for public comment, so that when we come back to this meeting, we will be able to call on you. And then also before we recess, I do want to give Jennifer Logue an opportunity to speak with us. We honored her earlier today. Hopefully she heard our accolades, and we do want to hear from her before we recess as well. So I will take the liberty as chair to allow Jennifer Logue to speak. From there, I will take a motion and we'll take a vote to recess this meeting in order to start our 1:30 meeting. And again, once we come back to this meeting, the clerk will have a list of all of you who have your hands up so that we can go through the public comment for this meeting.
Through the chair, before Jennifer goes, yes, we miss you too in the clerk's office too, Jennifer, but we did take a screenshot of the queue at 1:12 when it closed. So if your hand was raised at 1:12 at the call of the close of the queue at the beginning of the meeting, then we have you as a speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, and we are going to find Jennifer Logue in the queue so that we will have a moment to hear from her. Okay. Jennifer, welcome to our meeting. We hope you're well. We hope you heard the accolades earlier today. Please go ahead and speak.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Unfortunately, I did not hear them, but I am going to go back and listen to them. And I just wanted to thank everyone for this honoring me. The award and the honor is really unnecessary because the greatest award I got from Oakland was the experience that I have necessary to move on to the position that I have now with Mountain View. My time with Oakland was challenging and rewarding, and I really, really enjoyed my nearly 15 years working with all of Oakland city officials and all of Oakland staff. And I honestly do not believe I would be where I am today without all of you, without your support, without the challenges, without the lessons. And I just want to give a special thanks to Barbara Parker and Doriana Moreno, who really saw something in me and pushed me to do more with the city attorney's office. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Please do listen to the presentation. We are so grateful for your work and definitely wish you well as you are in your new role in Mountain View. So hopefully we'll cross paths, but we certainly wish you well and thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. At this time, I will take a motion to recess the current meeting.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
On the motion, moved by Councilmember Gallo, second by Councilmember Taylor to recess. Councilmember Fife.
Aye.
Councilmember Gallo.
Aye.
Councilmember Cobb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Kaplan.
Aye.
Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Pro Tem Tao.
Aye.
President Box.
Aye.
Motion is approved with a vote of 8 ayes.
Thank you. So again, to members of the public, we are recessing our special meeting and we will go ahead and call the roll for our regular meeting and conduct that agenda.
Hey, folks, this regular meeting is going to be long, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just a clarification, the Zoom link for both meetings is the same. I just want to double check that. Is that correct?
That is correct. Both meetings have the same Zoom link. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All
Good
right.
afternoon and welcome to the concurrent meeting of the Oakland Redevelopment Successor Agency and City Council of Tuesday, July 5th. We will begin this meeting with a roll call. Councilmember Fife.
Present.
Councilmember Gallo.
Present.
Councilmember Cobb.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kaplan.
Here.
Councilmember Reed.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Here.
Pro Tem Town.
Present.
President Boss.
Present.
Showing 8 members present at this time.
Thank you. Colleagues and members of the public, welcome to our regular meeting of the Oakland City Council. We will begin with public comment. From there, we will approve our draft minutes from our June 21st meeting. And then we will conduct a public hearing of the Lakeshore Business Improvement District. And there also will be a vote of those ballots, which you can access through the separate link in the Zoom room that is on the meeting agenda. And we have just a few items on this council meeting agenda. Those include our special events ordinance amendments. Excuse me, I'm just trying to pull up my agenda here. We also have our master fee schedule, and we have 2 potential ballot measures, one for Just Cause and the other one for the Emerald New Deal. So to members of the public, if you wish to speak on those meeting items, please go ahead and raise your hand. However, if you wish to speak on the public hearing on the Lakeshore Business Improvement District, please wait until we call in that item so you can speak during the hearing and your comments will be on the record. It is now 3:44. We'll keep the queue open for 15 minutes and you will have up to 2 minutes to speak on items on this council meeting agenda. Thank you.
Okay, folks.
Thank you for that, President Boss. And as stated by the chair, the queue will be closing in 15 minutes, which is 1:59. So if you haven't done so already, please raise your hand to speak. You'll be given 2 minutes. I'll read the first few names as they are listed. Our hands are raised in the queue. Stephen Ortega, Paula R. A user by the name with the email paulr@arcom-software.com. Laura Bixby.
Okay, I shut that down because there's a lot of items on the agenda. And there are 2 agendas. One for the special, which included Howard Terminal. And then this is the regular council. And I don't know how long this is going to go before they go back to the other one. So I'm not going to subject you to that. The big problem is when we get these. First of all, Barry Lee asks, where is Libby? Under the strong air system, which has been in existence since it was voted into law in 98, along with Jerry Brown, and it took effect in 1999. That does not require the mayor to attend council meetings. Under the Councilmember's Reform of Government we had prior to that, and where also I worked for Oakland Mayor Lee Harris as an economic advisor, the mayor presided over the council. The mayor was the president of the Oakland City Council. And under the new system, compared to what we've had for many, many years, the president of the council is voted on. You heard Nikki Fortunato Bass. She's speaking because she's the president of the city council. In years past, it has been, for example, Ignacio de la Fuente, who represent District 5. Anyway, this is going to be another long meeting. I'll come back for the other one, and which will necessitate starting a new live stream fine, and then monitoring that. So that's where Libby is, Barry. As far as every city, Mohammed says Hey, Mohammed. He says every city is doing a stadium with entertainment park. Even the Bears Stadium project is rumored to have a baseball stadium and office condos. Yeah, that's true. I think maybe that was in response to someone talking about a growth initiative. But yeah, the idea is a variation in those iterations of something called the baseball village or the football village, if you like, concept. And the idea is you take a fee, a development fee that goes to pay for the development of the project from those subdevelopments, and also the net operating income from those projects. And so Howard Terminal is another variation of that. The problem with Howard Terminal, as it's currently structured, and this is not a city criticism, this is a criticism of where the A's and the city are, is that the Athletics really need a development partner. And the Athletics said they needed one. The city has not, did not, and has not gone out and tried to get one. So that $12 billion build out that the Athletics talk about, my argument isn't going to be achieved because they haven't shown the financial wherewithal to make that happen on their own. Their idea is once we own the land and all that comes with it, including the permissions to build that kind of building, we'll get it. Hold on 1 second, folks. I have to take this. Yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, I just said it. Now, Thomas Beltran says the city of Oakland always needs money, and they're going to waste taxpayer dollars on a vote that really means nothing, a stall tactic. And yeah, it is a waste of taxpayer dollars to do the vote. There's a lot that people don't understand, and I'll repeat what that is. In fact, what I'll do is I'll pull up the legislation real quick and show you the problem. He says, have to spend money to make money, definitely have a vision. He says, thank you, Stir, I didn't know that, you're welcome. Eric says, people in Oakland just don't understand economics. No, they do. It's just that people in Oakland are being lied to. So let me show you why I say that, because it's true. You've got where we are as a city in total is more than ever. We are the practitioners of personal politics. And that's really come into play where it's harmed this. Excuse me for a second. I have to close down a couple of items so I can pull up the other one. Let me share this Finder. And maybe that if I go to Firefox, I go to history, say show all history, and let's see, view, let's see, meeting agenda, view legislation. There it is. Oops. Okay, see if that can bring that up. PDF. So I don't want to leave. I want to stay on the page. Let me do this. Here, history, and then let's try view legislation there. And there. Okay, now that I've got that, maybe I can get StreamYard to show it. Share screen. View legislation. All right. This is the proposed legislation, okay? Let me show you the problem. And I'll scroll down directly to the point of concern that I have. There's several. But first of all, let me go down to um, this main one that's right here. It reads as follows. Let me see if I can zoom in on it so you can better see it, because it's paramount that you focus on and understand this, because a lot of people have chosen not to pay attention to what the legislation actually says. Okay. All right. This is it. Okay. It says revenue. It says, whereas on April 28th, 2022, the Rules and Legislation Committee adopted a motion, file 2202-241, in, quote, request to schedule a meeting with the City Council to receive an information report that provides a third-party cost-benefit analysis of financial issues related to the Oakland Waterfront Ballpark District. The Howard Terminal proposed that. This is long-winded. This is where no Gallo came from. Okay. Then he lists them. But note, this is still in, this has found its way into this call for a vote that Gallo wrote. And even though I asked him to change this back then because it's wrong, it's still here. Now let me take you point by point why it's wrong. When he says revenue cost projections, the proposed Howard Terminal Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District to support on-site infrastructure. That question in of itself is wrong. And the reason is this. Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District legislation says that off-site and on-site costs are identified by a public financing authority, which Oakland hasn't formed, okay? And the public financing authority must identify projects of what is called community-wide significance. That can be anything within, and I say anything because the list of what can be done is gargantuanly long. It includes Head Start programs. It includes streets and roads. It includes transit facilities. It includes sea level rise programs. It includes, of course, affordable housing. Now, the reason why I stress this so much is because as the person who met with Dave Cavall on the phone on the 4th of April of 2017, I told him that he could use Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District legislation. When Cavall said that public money could not be used, I said, you're going to need it to build affordable housing because that's the only way you're going to get the ballpark project through. I'm the person who started all this. Dave Cavall has acknowledged that on camera many times. And so of all the people I've tried to get to use Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District legislation going back 7 years, there are only two people who've listened. One of them is Oakland Athletics President Dave Cavall, and the other person is Oakland City Council member Chang Tao, District 4. And that was just this year recently. This has been on, these types of legislation have been on the books since 2015. You would think the city would use them to create programs to help, for example, as is allowed by the newest version, AB 464, help small businesses like yours in Oakland recover from the pandemic. The city's done nothing. Or to help establish spending for local medical programs. The city has done nothing. Okay? Nothing. Nothing. And this is typical Oakland. Oakland spends a lot of time killing projects. I have going all the way back, okay? I have going all the way back to 1985 of history, where I wrote a paper called Jumping on the High-Tech Bandwagon Without an E-Ticket, about Oakland's attempt to bring high-tech economic development to focus. And among the stories of Oakland killing projects, including that one, which would have been at the Oakland Airport Business Park, was the 2 million square foot shopping center originally slated for what we now call Uptown. Paul Cobb, who's now the publisher of the Oakland Post, was executive director of the Oakland Citizens Committee for Urban Renewal. And he said, hey, you need to spend that money for Black people. Now, that money was tax increment money. And he got 45 community people, groups together, and killed the project. But there was no other project to go about the process of, quote, getting that money to Black folks like myself. All right. This is Oakland's history. It's a history of largely us, to be candid, saying, hey, look, you're not using this money properly. And then you have other people who have made their nonprofit money off identifying Black problems and seem to want to keep the Black problems going, who ignore any problem that actually would solve disinvestment. And so what happens is that here we go again. We have these laws on the books, SB 628 BL, SB 293 Skinner, which focuses on Howard Terminal. The latest one, AB 464 Mullen, which focuses on enhanced infrastructure financing districts that focus on and uses the tax increment to help small businesses harmed by the pandemic, on the books, and the city has no history of trying to use any of them. Okay? And yet you have people who say that they're socialists, and if they really were socialists who understood what socialism is and the need to use government law to get money to people and help them make a more affordable life, the first place they would look is in the current legislation that's already on the books. But folks, they don't do that. They don't do that. So it makes you wonder, are they really sincere? Okay. So the reason why I'm saying we shouldn't vote on it is because this is the latest example of how the folks I'm talking about go about creating an alternative universe of ideas rather than telling you the truth about anything. And so what happens, okay? And so basically, we go back to viewing the legislation. It says specific sources. They want specific sources of federal and state grant funding for the project cost of off-site infrastructure improvements. Well, why do that when again, enhanced infrastructure financing district legislation, all right, calls for the ability to use tax increment financing monies for projects of community-wide significance, which include streets, roads, and all the projects that were identified way up here in this area where it's stated, not here, but actually below it, right here, where it says, whereas the city's fiscal year 21-23 adopted capital improvements program identified 296 unfunded, partially funded capital projects across all the city's neighborhoods for a total unfunded cost of $1.466 billion, nearly $1.5 billion, okay? Right? So that amount can easily be paid for. Easily be paid for. Easily be paid for. Now, I would say vote yes on this if and only if this squared with the truth about how enhanced infrastructure financing districts work, about what the legislation says, laid it out. Because the truth is that with the ability to realize between 1.6 billion and 1.9 billion in tax increment financing revenue, the city will have more than enough money in a number of scenarios to take care of many of its very pressing problems that have plagued us for many years, generations in many cases. All right. So we have that ability. We have that ability. Let's go and consider another part of this. It says funding sources for maintenance costs and infrastructure improvements. Well, I just talked about TIF, right? Okay. Then it says any anticipated increased costs for the city and proposed funding sources to cover such costs. Again, we have tax increment financing. All right. This whole document acts like tax increment financing doesn't exist. The reality is they don't understand or know about it. Here is the biggest one I have. Any potential sale of city bonds, including project available revenue sources to cover interest and capital payments for such bonds. This proves right here that Councilmember Gallo does not understand what he's writing about, because when you float a bond for a particular project, a development project, you generally consider it as a revenue bond. You identify revenue that generally the project itself generates, in this case, tax increment revenue, all right? Item 5 doesn't mention tax increment revenue. It doesn't mention that the legislation says that the city does not back the bonds. It doesn't float the bonds. The Public Financing Authority does. Just like you want to know an example of a type of public financing authority? The Coliseum Joint Powers Authority, or any joint powers authority up and down California, which have the ability on their own to float bonds. Okay? This has basically taken everybody's straw person assumptions and prejudices regarding the city and finances and put them right into basically one paragraph of that throws up all of these items. Then it says private funding sources of the project. This sponsor is proposing to contribute to the proposed project. Okay, that's legitimate. But then again, you should know that with any housing, the developer pays, and then the subsidies used to fill the gap that lowers the developer's cost so that affordable housing units can be realized. All right. Then it says funding sources needed to achieve the 35% affordable housing for the proposed project. Well, again, tax increment financing. Then financing structures and other compatible sports stadium projects. Well, this really isn't that. It is a new town in town. It is an enhanced infrastructure financing project. It's not a sports stadium. The facility itself will be able to hold up to about 40,000 people. You can have 200 different events in it year round. Oakland is allergic to having a healthy convention infrastructure. In other words, buildings, ballrooms, hotels sufficient enough to capture such events like a Comic-Con or a CES or anything else. We're content to sit back literally and let San Francisco take the lead. We've done nothing, say for a couple of attempts here and there, to counter that. And yet, Oakland's a larger city than San Francisco. Oakland's problem is right between the ears. It's not lack of land. And it really isn't lack of ability to gain revenue. It's here. It's psychological. And it's been this way for 2 generations. Okay? So there's my issue. My issue is that they're taking this straw person idea of Howard Terminal, offering it as the truth when it's not, and then saying, allow us to vote on it based on this. That's a lie. All right. Okay, so I'll be back. Oh, by the way, he says, any of these don't care. Timmy Bride says, port that lets traffic in East Oakland, redevelopment. And see, here's the thing, Tim. If you read SB 293 Skinner or any of the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District laws, you're going to find references to projects of community-wide significance. You can identify those projects in East Oakland. Ask yourself this question. How come none of the East Oakland council members have done that? All right, just asking. He says, where's Mayor Harris when you need him? Heard that. All right, folks, I'll be back later. That ends this broadcast. We'll see you.